Two lives, one sky. Before we begin, I would like to ask something of you. Not belief or even wish, memory. Somewhere in your life, there has probably been one person who quietly rearranged the architecture of your inner world. Perhaps you married them. Perhaps you almost did. Perhaps you met too early before either of you knew who you were becoming. Perhaps you met too late after life had already made promises in other directions. Perhaps they stayed. Perhaps they left. Perhaps they never really left at all. Remember them? Bring that person with you. You do not need to tell anyone their name. Neither will I. Because this story has never really belonged to two people. It belongs to everyone who has ever looked at another human being and thought quietly, there you are. Begin. Prologue. There is a photograph somewhere of an ordinary morning. No one remembers who took it. Perhaps a granddaughter, perhaps a friend visiting for tea, perhaps the timer on an old camera, forgotten until years later. It is not an extraordinary photograph. Two people sit on a weathered wooden bench outside a small house where roses climb lazily across a white fence. The man has silver hair now. Most of it arrived without either of them noticing. He wears the same thoughtful expression he wore decades earlier when he listened more carefully than he spoke. Reading glasses rest halfway down his nose. A book lies open on his lap, one finger marking the page because he has been interrupted again. The woman beside him is laughing. She's always laughing before she finishes telling the story. One hand moves through the air as though every memory deserves its own choreography. The other has settled, almost absent mindedly, over his. She has done that for years. Neither of them notices anymore. Somewhere in the garden, a kettle begins to whistle through an open kitchen window. He looks towards the house. She keeps talking. He smiles. It is the smile reserved for someone who has heard the story before and still wants to hear it again. Not because the story changes, because she does. The morning carries on exactly as mornings have carried on for thousands of years. Birdsong, tea, newspapers folded in half, the scent of damp earth after overnight rain, the neighbor walking a dog that insists on stopping outside the same gate every day. Nothing remarkable happens. Everything remarkable happens. Love, they eventually discovered, rarely announced itself through dramatic declarations. It lived inside repetition, inside familiarity, inside remembering how the other liked their tea, inside slowing one's pace without speaking because the person beside you had begun walking just a little more carefully than they once did, inside leaving the porch light on, inside warming cold hands, inside asking, "Did you sleep well?" and genuinely wanting to know the answer. People often imagine that great love stories are made of extraordinary moments. Most are mistaken. Great love stories are built from ordinary moments that never stop mattering. This is not the story of how two people fell in love. That happened years ago. This is the story of how two lives kept growing towards one another. It is a story about recognition, about the rare experience of meeting another human being and slowly discovering that they have become one of the places where your mind naturally comes home. The storyteller will tell you what happened. The astrologer will wonder what the sky had to say about it. The psychologist will quietly ask what two hearts were learning beneath the surface. Time will occasionally interrupt whenever the rest of us become too certain. Home. Home will wait. It has always been patient. Perhaps that is because home understands something the rest of us often forget. People spend much of their lives searching for it. Across cities, across careers, across countries, across certainty itself. Sometimes they discover that home was never waiting at the end of a journey. Sometimes it had been quietly walking beside them all along, wearing the face of another human being. The story begins long before they met. It begins with two children born beneath different skies. One in northern India, one in the American Midwest, separated by continents, separated by years. Completely unaware that somewhere far ahead, life would one day ask them the same question. Will you have the courage to keep growing? Whether they succeed is only part of the story. Who they become while trying is the reason this story is worth telling. So come, bring your memories, bring your questions, bring the person who still lives somewhere quietly inside your heart. The kettle is beginning to whistle. Tea is almost ready. There is a place waiting for you. Welcome.